Hey, what's up, YouTube? Well, continuing my 2018 NBA draft recap, I think it's about time that I talk about my Chicago Bulls and what they did in this latest NBA draft. Now, they had the 7th and 22nd overall pick in the first round. They had a variety of options that they could have gone through to really make this an interesting and very productive draft for them. Obviously, they decided to stay there, for both of their picks, but when you look at some of the options that they could have done to maybe, change things up in terms of this draft, they could have packaged some of their picks and players, such as Justin Holiday, Robin Lopez, Bobby Portis, Denzel Valentine, Chris Dunn, some guys that do have a little bit of trade value, but not necessarily a lot, to maybe trade up and get a stud player. They could have traded back with a team like the Clippers, who had multiple picks in the lottery, to maybe, move back a little bit, still get a solid player, and then maybe take a chance on a guy like a Michael Porter later in the lottery if they decided to go that route. When you look at trading back from number 7 to the 12 and 13 spot with the Los Angeles Clippers, or they could have traded back into the lottery with the 22nd overall selection, and again, using some of those assets that they do have, like later picks down the line, like second-round picks down the line, Justin Holiday, Robin Lopez, some of the players that they already have on their roster. One trade in particular that I thought they maybe should have tried doing was with the Memphis Grizzlies, who were offering up, trying to get rid of Chandler Parsons' really terrible contract. The Chicago Bulls, since they're not really going to be competing for the next couple of seasons, I thought it would have been a fair trade if they could have taken on Chandler Parsons' salary, then trade up from 7 to 4, maybe draft a guy like a Mo Bamba potentially. So again, there were a lot of interesting things that the Bulls could have done in this 2018 NBA draft. But in typical Garpax fashion, they decided to really stand pat, play it safe, and instead they kept it pretty bland, I think, staying at number 7 and 22 and taking Wendell Carter Jr. from Duke and Chandler Hutchinson from Boise State at 22, respectively. Now, while I do like both prospects and they're both safe, solid prospects, this is just the classic Bulls move and taking players with limited upside, but really high floors that may not be, game-changing, franchise-changing type of players that you want when you're drafting in the lottery. So there are some positives with this draft, however. Carter, when you look at him as a prospect, I think he's a guy that will really complement Lauri Markkanen very well. He's a very good rebounder. He passes very well. He's got a very high basketball IQ, and he's a decent defensive player, mostly with his high basketball IQ. He's not the most fleet of foot. His foot quickness can be a little bit to be desired, which may make him a little bit of a liability in terms of guarding the pick and roll. But I think he's a very solid player. He'll help Markkanen, really stay more focused on the scoring aspect of his game, and he can do a variety of different things. So he's a solid prospect. I have no problem with the pick there at the number 7 slot. I think he was probably the best player available at that portion of the draft, so I have no problems there. And then Hutchinson, he's a solid all-around player that can shoot from 3, create off the dribble, rebound. He has nice physical tools to be a solid defensively. He's a 4-year senior, and Garpax, they love their 4-year type of players from college, so those picks, it made sense that they would make those type of picks. And when you look at the positives of these picks there, they make guys like Robin Lopez, Bobby Portis, Denzel Valentine, Justin Holidays, guys that really the Bulls aren't really building around for the future. They make them now more easily movable assets because you don't really have to use them to fill out roster spots on game day rosters necessarily. Now you have guys that you're building towards, you've already drafted, you have them in your system now. And, you can move those guys now for future assets down the line, especially when you look at Robin Lopez, Justin Holiday, and Denzel Valentine, 3 guys that I think have really no future here with the Bulls overall. Because Bobby Portis, he could still be a 6-man type of guy, I think, for this team going into the future. Now, I said there are some positives here in terms of the fact that the individual prospects, they're fine. They're solid prospects. I don't really have anything too negative to say about them in terms of as players. I think they'll both be very nice players for the Bulls going forward, but there are a lot of negatives with this because, like I said, there's no problem with the players individually, but it speaks to a larger problem when you look at the Bulls rebuild and the philosophy that they're going with when you look at, at this stage of their rebuilding process. This year should have been the tank year to really get a high draft pick, to hopefully get a high quality superstar in this draft, a guy with a really high upside, to really kind of kickstart this rebuild and really kick it off into a nice direction. Because Lauri Markkanen, he's proven to be a guy that you can definitely build around. But when you look at the rest of the roster, there really isn't anybody with a really high upside, I think, that you really feel confident can be, the number 1, number 2, number 3 type of option on a championship level team. And that's what the Bulls should be trying to do with this rebuild, trying to build this team toward the future to eventually be a championship contending team, not a team that's just trying to get to the playoffs every year and try and get some extra playoff cash. which I kind of feared that's what Garpax is trying to do with this rebuild, unfortunately. I felt like the Bulls, they had enough assets where they could have moved around the draft board just a little bit more and make things a little bit interesting. And instead, like I said, it feels like the Bulls are starting this rebuild in a very meh direction. It feels like Garpax, the two bozos running this organization, are just building a team that will long-term, their ceiling will be being in anywhere between the 5 and the 8 seed in the Eastern Conference, and they'll just get bounced in the playoffs every single year. Because when you look at the teams like the Boston Celtics, the Philadelphia 76ers, those teams are not going to be going away for a long time. You got to be thinking about eventually trying to beat those teams going forward into the future, not just trying to build a team that will just make the playoffs every single year, but continually lose to them in the playoffs. I just feel like Garpax, they probably feel now that they've kind of drafted the last couple of years, they got their young point guard and Chris Dunn, their shooting guard and Zach LaVine. They've drafted Hutchinson now at the small forward position, Markin at the power forward, Carter at the center. They probably feel that now they've addressed every single position and getting a young guy that they can kind of build around. They think now that the rebuild is over in their eyes. It's just classic Garpax, not really being forward thinking, just kind of being lazy in their approach to this rebuild. It's the job of the GM of a basketball organization to always look towards the future to try and build a championship level team. And if you're just going to build a team that has a low upside, what are you really going to be doing there? What's the point of that? But I got to say, in terms of being, me not being much of a Garpax fan here, I guess it's better for them to play it safe and not mess anything up and make, a huge mistake. So, I'd rather them be safe than do that. So in that sense, it's kind of a positive when you look at this draft. Like I said, I have nothing against any of the players that the Bulls drafted. Wendell Carter Jr., I think, is a very solid player. He reminds me a lot of Al Horford going into the NBA level. Chandler Hutchinson, I think he can be a really nice gem later in the first round there. I think it's a very nice pick there. I just feel like, they could have done a lot more. I would have liked them to get into the top 6 and, my guy was maybe a Mo Bamba. That was kind of the guy I was targeting. I thought he would be perfect next to Lauri Markkanen because, Lauri Markkanen, you want him focusing on the offensive side of the ball. Mo Bamba, he covers up all of his defensive flaws necessarily. So that's just me, though, as a Bulls fan. I'm not too – I'm still optimistic. I'm going to be optimistic about this team's direction, but I just felt like Garpax, they just – classic Garpax here. But on a side note, I find it hilarious that Garpax, they stopped doing their jobs halfway through the draft because they actually called their press conference, their post-draft press conference, right after they picked Chandler Hutchinson at the 22nd pick in the first round. So there was still a second round to be had and the rest of the first round to be had, and they already packed it in for the night. Classic Garpax, really deciding that, hey, we've done our job here. Let's just be lazy. Let's not waste any more energy. Let's not waste any more assets, any more resources, any more money on scouting extra players, or maybe trying to get our way into the second round, maybe to draft some guys that may be some gems for our team as we're rebuilding here. Nah, we'll just be lazy here and just call it a night and go to bed early, basically. That's classic Garpax. That's what they'll do. But let me know in the comment section below what you guys think. Chicago Bulls fans, let me know. I'm kind of meh on this for now, but, please, if you guys are more positive or negative on this, please let me know in the comment section below. Please make sure to like and subscribe for more videos such as this. Thanks, guys, for watching. Thanks, guys.